The world is in financial disarray. Currencies failing, economies in wild flux, jobs being lost. But what if you could build an entirely new economy, one specifically designed for the digital realm? Well, that is the dream behind Bitcoin.
Bitcoin, for those of you who don't know, is an electronic online currency that was created in 2009. It was made by someone who did it under the pseudonym Satoshi Nakamoto.
Like any economy, you don't want too much too fast because then the value of your currency drops, or so slow that your economy grounds to a halt. It's designed to be a self-stabilising economy. Whether it actually is that way though, well, that is a little bit more complicated.
And what is Bitcoin? Bitcoin is a currency on the internet.
I sent 100 euros worth of Bitcoin from here in Tokyo directly to you guys through this camera, through the network, through the TV, right into your home. If I had tried to do that, send you the money with a traditional bank, it would have taken several days and probably cost 30 euros. I just did it right now with Bitcoin instantly, basically for free, and didn't have to ask anybody for permission. I didn't need a bank, I didn't need a government, I didn't need anybody. I just needed myself and you and our smartphones to do it. That's the power of Bitcoin.
Wall Street is fraud, America is fraud, the world is fraud, banks are fraud, central banks are fraud. We live in an era of fraud. It's all based on fraud, and they get a percentage of the fraud. That's the business model. To suggest that there is any moral or ethical aspect to anything that's going on now is to be completely naive about the fact that we live in an era dominated by financial terrorists, jihadis of banking. They're here to kill you and themselves. They believe in an ideology, not the Quran, but Adam Smith, that they completely misread and interpret as something to justify their blowing themselves up. Janet Yellen's a terrorist! Mario Draghi's a terrorist! The Central Bank of Japan is a terrorist! These are the real terrorists!
Funds received.
This community is switching to what they think is a better monetary system. A system in which banks are no longer needed because payments could be made directly from one person to another.
Bitcoin is fundamentally different because in Bitcoin, you don't owe anyone anything and no one owes you anything. It is not a system based on that. It is a system based on ownership. And no one can censor it, no one can seize it, no one can freeze it.
It's November the 2nd, 2008, just 6 weeks after the Lehman Brothers collapse. And all over the world, there are panicked debates about how to save the banks. Then, on a little visited web forum for cryptographers, a document appears in which a completely new monetary system is proposed. The visionary author calls himself Satoshi Nakamoto.
These were the darkest days of the financial crisis. So that to me suggests a very clever mind that saw an opportunity, the perfect opportunity to introduce a new radical technology and a new radical approach to money and finance at just the right moment when people would be very open to making this big shift that's required to adopt a new currency.
What's exciting for me is like a global economy. Right now we say we have a global economy, but I can't take $1 and give it to you in the Netherlands and then you know what to do with it, right? You would have to go and change it to your native currency. And when you kind of eliminate that step and I can just send you one form of payment and you can send me a product in a matter of seconds, that starts to change things from a global perspective.
How could this digital coin invented by this Satoshi Nakamoto become hundreds of times more valuable than the dollar? And why do enthusiasts like Roger Fear want the world to switch to bitcoins?
I'm giving every single person here 1,000 yen worth of Bitcoins, which is like $8 and something cents.
Back in the early days, you know, I'd get phone calls from my buddies. Oh, hey man, I lost 10,000 Bitcoins because my computer blew up, right? Back then, one Bitcoin was less than a penny, right? So nobody cared. They lost $10. I don't care, right? And now 10,000 Bitcoins, that's $5 million. That's a big deal, right?
I think a lot of people are underestimating the way in which Bitcoin and the blockchain are going to change the power structures in society in general. I mean, I grew up in the US, and I see all these people like, yeah, nuke everybody in the Middle East and kill them all. And then they have the former Secretary of State Madeleine Albright on 60 Minutes, one of the most popular news shows in the US, and they asked her, they said, like, there's reports that more than 500,000 Iraqi children have died as a direct result of US sanctions. And she looks back at her with a straight face and she goes, it was a really tough decision, but I think that it was worth it. Worth murdering 500,000 kids because of what the government did? And I apologize for crying, but it just disgusts me from my core when I see government people murdering people around the world. It's not just theoretical. These are real people with real lives. And it's real people, and Bitcoin has the power to undermine everything they're doing to people around the world. And I'm sorry for shouting, but it just disgusts me what these people in government do. And they do it through central banking and through the control of the money supply, and Bitcoin takes that away from them.
You can buy Bitcoin at the Shell station. Check it out. Good. Got $2. Hit finish. Oh. $2 Bitcoin. Just like that. From this machine. I just turned cash into digital currency.
So thinking that it's too late to get involved in Bitcoin is like thinking it's too late to get involved with the internet or too late to get involved with using a cell phone. Like, it's not too late to get involved in Bitcoin. If Bitcoin becomes really popular all over the world, Bitcoins are going to have to be worth at least tens of thousands of dollars a Bitcoin, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars per Bitcoin. So thinking it's too late to get involved with Bitcoin is like thinking it's too late to get involved with using the internet. Of course not. Like, it's ubiquitous in our lives, and Bitcoin's going to become ubiquitous in our lives as well.
There is no Bitcoin company, there is no Bitcoin building, there's not even a Bitcoin server anywhere that you could shut down. It is completely distributed. That's what's unique about Bitcoin. It is, for the first time, a way for the two of us to exchange value online without a third-party intermediary. Until the invention of Bitcoin, for you and me to exchange money online, we had to employ a third party, like PayPal, like Visa, like MasterCard.
Well, Bitcoin is exciting because it shows how cheap it can be. Bitcoin is better than currency in that you don't have to be physically in the same place, and of course for large transactions currency can get pretty inconvenient. The customers we're talking about aren't trying to be anonymous. You know, they're willing to be known. So the Bitcoin technology is key, and you could add to it, or you could build a similar technology where there's enough attribution that people feel comfortable. This has nothing to do with terrorism or any type of money laundering.
About it earlier, but Bitcoin and things like it is the equivalent of the red pill. Okay? We are entering a completely world of uncharted water right now.
Have you made any investments in Bitcoin?
So, I mean, I personally, I own Bitcoin in my hedge fund. I own Bitcoin in my fund. I own Bitcoin in my private account. It is a huge deal. It's a huge, huge, huge deal. Because what you're talking about right now is, for the next 3 to 5 years, an unbelievably better store of value. It is gold 2.0, right? The value of gold that hedges the world economy about $9 trillion, right? 1,300 an ounce, of which only $100 to $150 is the actual production value. So all the rest of it is imputed, where, Lena, you and I have decided that it's worth 1,300 an ounce. Well, guess what? I can do the same thing with Bitcoin, except now I can do it outside the purview of every single government. It's being used everywhere where you would think it would be used. Russia, Iran, Iraq, Egypt, Venezuela, Argentina, everywhere where you have currency pressure, everywhere where you want to basically shield your assets. And then after that, it'll probably become a payment mechanism. So in all of these three industries, you're talking about trillions of dollars up for grabs. Up for grabs.
But
right?
Bitcoin, I'm still predicting Bitcoin, $10,000 per Bitcoin in 3 years. It's a hedge against a lot of fiat currencies. It's a new way of transferring cash throughout the world in a much more efficient way. And Bitcoin has created a whole infrastructure of many companies, some of which came out of Boost, the incubator. And those companies are creating this whole new culture, this whole new way of thinking.
Bitcoin trading at 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000. Rick Falkvinia does an excellent analysis. He predicts that Bitcoin will capture between 1 and 10% of the global Forex market, which implies a price of between $100,000 to $1 million per Bitcoin. Most of the people who are on the sidelines not buying Bitcoin today will start to buy Bitcoin when it gets over 1,000. And then a greater percentage of people will definitely plow into Bitcoin when it starts to get over 10,000.
Currency is the future, or is it the payment system they're developing?
Bingo, it's the payment system. It's the blockchain encryption, and they're interesting things. I think Bitcoin, or the really blockchain encryption that's behind it, has a greater ability to bring more of the world's population out of poverty than anything we've seen in...
Well, for one thing, it's a cheap payment system.
For one thing, it's a cheap payment system, but it's more important than that. It's more important than that. Blockchain cryptography is all about digital transfer of ownership in a completely transparent and public way.
Bitcoin is something that you've been interested in and supportive of. In fact, one can pay for a tour on Virgin Galactic up to the moon with Bitcoin. I think the Winklevoss twins have said that they would do exactly that. You think this is a currency that's really going to work eventually?
Well, I think it is working, and there will be other currencies like it that may be even better. But in the meantime, there's a big industry around Bitcoin, and you know, people have made fortunes out of Bitcoin. Some people have lost money out of Bitcoin.
Well, it must be POW. People don't know, so I suggest that everyone go back to buy one Bitcoin. Not too much. Only one is enough. If everyone in this world, people, just to go back buy one Bitcoin, you know, the Bitcoin value go to the $1 million. And when the Bitcoin have $1 million, you know, all around the world will be crazy, and everyone will be the follow, and the other digital currency just to be, you know, be grandson of the Bitcoin. So for me, I think for a lot of people, they don't exactly understand why it's Bitcoin. They're trying to find out that Bitcoin maybe it's expensive. Well, I find out another way. I do in my coin. I do in the new thing. But I think, okay, you just stop that there. Go back. The Bitcoin will be the great in the future.
Evolution is constant, even though we might not always pay attention until the big change has taken place. This goes for all areas of life, with almost no exception. One of the biggest changes in the history of modern society is right in front of us, right among us, and this time it will not go unnoticed. Let's go back to 2008, when the financial crisis hit the world economy, which started a major distrust towards the financial, monetary, and banking system. This crisis led to the creation of the first cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. Bitcoin rapidly opened the door to a completely new financial market, allowing faster, cost-effective, and more secure transactions, eliminating the need for third parties and middle hands. Bitcoin had an incredible increase in value between 2008 and 2013, where the price of a single Bitcoin went from 10 US cents to over 1,100 US dollars. Many self-proclaimed experts said it would never go above that price ever again. When people don't have the understanding or the knowledge about something, they are often proven wrong. With Bitcoin, this is certainly the case. Today, no one could possibly have missed Bitcoin's constant increase in value, the price reaching new heights every single day. We see articles pointing out the progress and how Bitcoin becomes more and more established. Governments are issuing full acceptance of Bitcoin and declaring it as real money.
I think it is working.
Influential individuals such as Richard Branson and Bill Gates, only to name a few, are very positive about Bitcoin and the constant development of the entire cryptocurrency industry. All major economies in the world are following the trend of cryptocurrency and the blockchain technology. They cannot ignore the fact that it is here to stay. The future of money is already here. The value of future money will not be directed by the government and Federal Reserve, but based on supply and demand. During many years, Bitcoin suffered from a lot of skepticism, hatred, negative press, and got associated with criminal activities. Today, the picture is different, pointing out possibilities of bringing positive change to the global economy and societies around the world. Not only beneficial for the Western world with an already established banking system, but also for the developing countries and the unbanked adult population, which have been set aside and without access to the current banking system. Bitcoin paved the way for many other followers within the cryptocurrency industry, such as Ethereum, Dashcoin, Monero, and Litecoin. But the fact remains that Bitcoin was the first, and today is the most established cryptocurrency. It is fully tradable and widely accepted as a means of payment. The awareness of Bitcoin has grown, and yet many of us are still asking, how can I get my hands on Bitcoin? Today, there are many ways to set up your own e-wallet and to buy or trade Bitcoins on the market. A lot of people enter different exchanges and buy Bitcoins. They can then start to trade their coins. It can be both profitable or risky, as the price is volatile, moving up and down. You can also have a long-term strategy and wait for the right moment to sell. Or you can spend the coins. But how do the multi-million investors access Bitcoins? They are mining Bitcoins through a large setup of servers, which provides more Bitcoins for a lower cost. The efficiency is different depending on the size and capacity of the mining park. With this structure, the investors are getting a daily share of the global mining, which is taking place every second, every day. The total amount of Bitcoins mined globally is approximately 1,800 BTC per day. The competition is tough, and it is almost impossible for the average person to access and take advantage of the growth. That is, until now. You are now presented with the opportunity to take part of one of the 10th largest Bitcoin mining pools in the world, which is constantly improving in capacity and speed. When participating in this pool, you can buy shares, which provide you with the equipment necessary to mine your future Bitcoins. No technical skills or prior experience needed. The actual mining process will be carried out by people with the right expertise and knowledge, and with a proven successful track record of 3 years. What can you expect when mining Bitcoins in the pool? In a conservative calculation, without promises or guarantees, we can expect that the shares we buy today, tailored according to our personal preferences, will in the coming 2.5 to 3 years produce around 2 to 3 times the Bitcoins. On top of that, another interesting point is, of course, the future price of one single Bitcoin. An increase in value of the coin will also affect the results for all participants of this mining pool. The big difference between a bought and a mined Bitcoin is that if you buy Bitcoins on the market and the price is volatile, you will lose as soon as the price is going down. However, with a mined Bitcoin, you can still break even if the price is going down. This opportunity of long-term growth is open to thousands and maybe millions of people. To keep a professional approach, and in order to secure correct and truthful information, taking part of this mining pool is by invitation only. We believe that through a growing network of people and growing mining capacity, everyone who is taking part of this global Bitcoin mining pool will also increase their shares. The more shares, the larger the facility and capacity to mine more Bitcoins for all of us. Bitcoin mining is transparent, and everyone can follow all transactions and the percentage of the global Bitcoin mining of this specific mining pool. Last but not least, to our existing members of our mining pool, we are once in a while offering the members the exclusive opportunity to be part of very profitable GPU mining, where the members can mine Ethereum, Ethereum Classic, Dashcoin, Monero, and Zcash. The structure of the pool started with a few people coming together to draw mutual benefits, and we continue to honor the principle that together, everyone always achieves more. Please get back to the person who shared this information to get all your questions answered. See you in the mining pool.